Hari Om. Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Namaste friends. Team Param Vedanta welcomes you all to DISHA 41, a new series of an inward journey to discover our inner strength and happiness through Bhagavad Gita. We'll continue our study of chapter 9, and today we'll take up the verses from 12 to 19. Srimati Vidya Prabhu will take us through these verses. She will also throw light on the 3 levels of bhakti as explained in Tattvabodha. After the talk, we will have a teaching quiz session by Dr. Ravi Shankar. Before Dr. Komal sir gives us introduction to the day's topic, Srimati Lakshmi Prakash will present today's shloka, Shantakaram Bhujagashenam. Lakshmi madam, please.
Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Shantakaram Bhujagashayanam Padmanabham Suresham Vishwadharam Gaganasadrusham Meghavarnam Shubhangam Lakshmi Kantam Kamalanayanam Yogi Hrudyanagamyam Vande Vishnum Bhavabhayaharam Sarvalokaikanaatham. Shantakaram Bhujagashayanam is the main Namaskara mantra of Lord Vishnu. This is one of the most powerful and popular mantra of Lord Vishnu. This is regularly chanted to remove the fear of worldly existence. This appears within the Dhyana Shloka of Vishnu Sahasranama, which is from the Anushasana Parva of Mahabharata, composed by sage Vyasa. The meaning of this shloka, Shantakaram, I meditate on Lord Vishnu, who has a serene appearance, which fills our inner being with peace. Bhujagashayanam, who is resting on the bed of serpent Adishesha. Adishesha or Ananta represents the eternal primal energy or Mula Prakriti. Padmanabham, from whose navel is springing up a lotus, which represents the source of all creations through Brahmadeva. Suresham, who is presiding over the various elements of those creations as the Lord of the Devas. Vishwadharam, who is the substratum of the whole universe as the consciousness principle. Gagana Sadrisham, who is boundless and infinite like the sky. Chidakasha, Meghavarnam, who has the color of cloud, the bluish form. Shubhangam, who has a beautiful and an auspicious body, radiating auspiciousness, which fills our inner being with bliss. Lakshmi Kantam, who is the beloved of Devi Lakshmi. Kamala Nayanam, who has lotus-like beautiful eyes. Yogi Hrudyana Gamyam, who is perceived by the yogis through meditation. Vande Vishnum, I worship that all-pervading Vishnu. Bhavabhaya Haram, who removes the fear of worldly existence. Sarva Lokaikanatham, I worship that Vishnu, who is the one Lord of all the lokas. Hari Om. Thank you, sir.
Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Padyantam Vande Guru Parampara. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Thank you, Lakshmi Madam, for that wonderful Disha prayer today about Bhujagashayanam. Vishnu, Shantakaram Bhujagashayanam Padmanabham Suresham Vishwadharam Gagana Sadrusham. Such a beautiful prayer. Here we see the Lord Vishnu being revered and named in his various forms. We see here him being described as a person located in space, on the blissfully lying down on the serpent, Bhujagashayanam, Shantakaram. And in the same verse, in the second line, we go to say Vishwadharam. He is not just lying down on the Bhujagasayana, but he himself is the Adhara, Vishwadhara. He is holding the universe together. Gagana Sadrusham, meaning like he is like telling Isha Vasyam, he is immanent in the entire creation. So here we see the various descriptions of God as Ekarupa Ishvara, Anekarupa Ishvara, and Arupa Ishvara, Gagana Sadrusham. So here we have to see the two different forms, the finite and infinite form of Ishvara. So one is a finite form which we generally use to worship God because we need a form to visualize and worship. But when we see God as the goal of our life, as the ultimate goal, as the only goal of our life, then we have to concentrate on Arupa form of the God. The very problem in our life is that we tend to forget and miss out that Arupa, the infinite form of Ishvara. So in the earlier verses of chapter 9, from verse 4 to 10, Lord Krishna gave a beautiful description of Ishvara Swarupa, the nature of God. He gave the description of higher, the real nature of God, which was called Paraprakriti in the 7th chapter. And that higher nature is the same as Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Nirguna Brahma. So throughout these chapters, from 7th chapters onwards, we should remember when we use the word God as the goal of life, what we are using, what we are meaning is the higher nature of God. And this is the general rule. Whenever God is presented as goal of life, we should understand the word God as higher nature of God, Paraprakriti, the Nirguna Brahma. When we are talking about God in the context of worship, the worshipped God, the God with different numbers of hands, legs, in the context of worship, we refer to the lower nature of God. That's the finite lower form of God is worshipped, whereas the infinite higher form of the God is the goal of life. The problem in human life, why we get into samsara is described by Krishna in these verses which we see today. So he says the ignorance of what we need to do in life, the purpose of life, which way to go, what is the destination. We lie in this earth as directionless pebbles, stones, without any direction. What to do, where to go. Like what happens to Alice in this story, which we would have studied, read in our childhood. Alice asks, would you tell me, please, which way I ought to go from here? She asks the cat, and the cat depends a good deal on where you want to go. And Alice says, I don't much care where to go. The cat replies that then it does not matter which way you go. The same thing happens to us in our life. It's not something like which we can search in Google Maps, putting destination as God. It's the viveka, the discrimination, the goal of life which we need to see is something which should dawn on us with the sadhana chitushayas. That's the 4 ways in which we get exposed to our ultimate goal of life. Okay. Discrimination, dispassion, and finally leading to mumukshatvam by way of discipline. Okay. So this is the primary question. In our ignorance of what to do next, where to go, we try to find finite goals. We tend to put our financial goals, our material goals, our family goals, as our name, fame, doing, creating an organization, studying something, getting a degree, making sure our family, our children, our parents get into certain position, and that feeling to take our organization to a higher level. Everything comes as finite or infinite goals. They're all finite goals. Unless we know that infinite goal of life, to see the infinite God, to realize that God as the final destination, we'll be searching unless we have that aim. As sometimes it happens during this winter sleep, when we sleep, covering with a blanket, sometimes our leg comes out. So Swamiji says here how the human pursuit works. This example we can take to see how it happens, the process of human pursuits. When we feel something, when we know that something is wanted, now we feel that this food is outside and it's getting cold. We know that's Jnana Shakti. And then in that slumber, in that semi-sleep, we feel, okay, I'm feeling something uncomfortable. I need to cover it. The desire to cover, that Ichcha Shakti, to cover yourself with the blanket. And then what you do, you try to push in your slumber again to cover the blanket fully, to cover your foot completely. That's the Kriya Shakti, what you do. And in the process, once that is covered, you know that the other leg is out. So then again, you come to know, then that's the circle. Once you complete one finite goal, because it's anyway it's not infinite, the other possibilities, other desires will crop up. It is like a finite blanket which will invariably expose a part of your body. And as long as the blanket is of a finite size, there's no way we get a completion in life. The only completion would be when we have an infinite blanket to cover ourselves. What is that infinite blanket we can think of? What do we really want? What is that covering which would cover everything, all our desires and all, which will make us realize that there is nothing more to aspire for, nothing more to do, nothing more to desire for. What is that knowledge? What is that infinite blanket? And that's the ultimate God, the infinite, which should be our goal. Like it says in Ishavasya Idam Sarvam. When we become Digambaras, when we get covered by that infinite blanket on us, that's the day when we know we have realized. Okay? So that's our ultimate goal. And further today, we'll also see about bhakti, the term which we regularly see very often. Uh, we talk about bhakti. So what are the types of bhakti? What's the bhakti of a gnani? What are the types of Ajnanis Bhakti? That's again Sakama and Nishkama Bhakti. To explain this further verses in chapter 9 and to deal with further details on Bhakti, I welcome Srimati Vidya Prabhu. She will take us through chapter 9 verses 12 to 19, and further she explains the Tattvabodha topic, the 3 levels of Bhakti. Madam, over to Srimati Vidya Prabhu.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Welcome to DISHA session 41, Discovery of Inner Strength and Happiness through Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9. Today we'll be dealing with verses of chapter 9 from 12 to 19. And also the Tattvabodha topic, the 3 levels of Bhakti. Till the last class, we have seen the elaboration of the higher nature of Ishvara, the Para Prakriti Jnanam, which remains a greatest secret for the unprepared mind, which is called Rajaguhyam. And since this knowledge alone liberates a person, Krishna calls it Rajavidya, the greatest knowledge. Then we understand about the higher nature of the Lord, that Ishvara Sarvagataha. Next slide, doctor. Ishvara Avyaktaha, Lord is Mithya Jagat Adhisthanaha, He is Asanga Swarupaha, Ishvara Ishvaraha Srishti Sthiti Laya Karanam, Ishvara Sakshi Swarupam, and Kartrutvam Bhoktrutvam Brahitam. So ignorance of this Nirguna Ishvara Paraprakriti alone will lead to samsara. From 12th to 19th verse, from 12th to 19th verse, the remedy for this samsara is given. The remedy given is bhakti is not just a mere sadhana, but a bhakti culminating in jnanam. Lord Krishna time and again tells us that when ignorance is the problem, the only solution is jnanam. Just in the manner of how a simple lamp dispels darkness, this series of bhakti sadhana has 3 levels. Next slide. Karma Rupa Bhakti, that is Karma Yoga, wherein we dedicate every action to the Lord, convert every karma into worship. From here, one has to graduate to the next level of bhakti. Second one is upasana rupa bhakti. Second one is upasana rupa bhakti. Karma can lead one to be extrovert and restless, whether selfish or selfless. An extrovert mind cannot absorb Vedanta. So one should turn away from this and train our mind and to turn inward. Bhakti in the form of meditation, that is Saguna meditation. Then we have to come to the third and final stage of bhakti, which is Vedanta Vichara Rupa Bhakti, that is Jnana Rupa Bhakti. Now to go to the third level, that is Vedanta Vichara Rupa Bhakti. Here one studies scriptures, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasanam, and Lord Krishna here points out that Jnana Yajna is superior to all forms of Yajna, which Lord Krishna called in the 4th chapter as Jnana Yajna. When a person has gone through all these 3 levels of bhakti, he becomes a Jnani Bhakta, a devotee with the knowledge of Nirguna Ishvara, Paraprakriti, Nirguna Brahma Jnanam. So we should remember that bhakti consists of all these 3 levels of sadhana. Bhajan, puja are all only first levels of bhakti. Meditation, etc. are the second level of bhakti. Only when the study of scriptures under the guidance of a competent guru is followed, one becomes a jnani, and such a jnani will get liberated. Lord Krishna said that to become a bhakta, a person should have a lot of punyam. Those who do not have enough punyam, they will not come to any level of bhakti. They will not come to karma or upasana, and they will never come to jnanam. To revert to Tattvabodha, the meaning of bhakti here is given as devotion to God, where love is directed to a higher principle. It is further analyzed as love is directed towards only the object, and the first is whatever we want to accomplish in our life, the ends that we love. Majority people look upon God as the means for various worldly ends. When God is looked upon as the means to the end, then it is called Manda Bhakti. Then when the understanding dawns on us that only through the means can one accomplish the ends, one starts loving the means. These are the maturer kind of people who are able to choose God as the goal of life, as they know God, that God represents security, peace, and happiness. This is more intense than the previous one. This bhakti is called Madhyama Bhakti. The third one is the object of love, is the love of oneself, which is also called self-love. Here, God is looked upon not as a means, nor even as the end, but God as non-different from oneself. Soham Asmi. This form of bhakti is called Uttama Bhakti. This is the first meaning of bhakti. The second meaning of bhakti is a course of discipline to achieve the spiritual goal, which is known as Bhakti Yoga. We have known the threefold disciplines to attain Parama Purushartha. They are Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga, Jnana Yoga. Then is Bhakti Yoga a fourth yoga? Answer is, it is not a separate course of discipline. It is the common atmosphere in which all these yogas are practiced. Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga, Jnana Yoga have to be imbued with Bhakti. Now to go to the third level of understanding, scriptures give 3 definitions of God depending upon the maturity and the intellectual caliber of the seeker. The first definition for the beginner is, God is the creator of the world, Jagat Karta Ishvara, the intelligent creator behind this intelligent creation. The personal God is called Eka Rupa Ishvara. The second definition is, if God is the creator, then what is the material out of which the world is created? Before the creation of God alone was there, nothing else was. Scriptures point out that God himself happens to be the material out of which this world is created, just as the spider finds the material for the web out of himself. God is the Karanam. Therefore, whole universe is nothing but God alone. He is no more Ekarupa, but Anekarupa. Anekarupa Ishvara or Vishwarupa Ishvara. The third definition of God, Jagat Adhishtanam Ishvara, but God as the substratum of the world. This is the highest and toughest and the culmination of the bhakti to the formless God. God is the ultimate reality behind the creation, not affected by them, transcending all superficial forms of the creation. Therefore, God is the Adhishtanam Ishvara, Arupa Ishvara. So the gradual progress is from Ekarupa Bhakti to Anekarupa Bhakti to Arupa Bhakti, depending on my understanding of the law. To remind again, the first three, Manda, Madhyama and Uttama, where Bhakti is based on the law of God, is called as Bhavana Drishtya Bhakti Trayam. The second level, Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga, Jnana Yoga Rupa Bhakti is from the standpoint of Sadhana Drishtya Bhakti Trayam. Then the third level is Eka Rupa to Aneka Rupa to Arupa Bhakti, depending on our understanding of the Lord. This is Devata Drishtya Bhakti Trayam. So this is from the Tattvabodha. Now to go to the verses of 9th chapter, the 12th verse, Moghasa Mogha Karmano, Moghadna Vichetasaha, Rakshasim Asurim Chaiva, Prakritim Mohinim Sritaha. From this verse onwards up to the 19th verse, Lord Krishna talks about different types of people. There are some people who have clearly diagnosed their problem of samsara and take the right path, understanding the cause as ignorance. They come to Jnanam, which requires sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, starting with karma yoga and upasana. From here, this verse speaks of many confused people not knowing what they really want, grope in the darkness. Vichetasaha, avivekis, indiscriminate people. Neither they know nor they take the help of scriptures because of their intellectual arrogance. Mogadnaha, here, mogha means wrong, jnanaha, wrong. Jnanaha means understanding. Moghasaha, futile desires. Mogha karmanaha, futile actions. Wrong understanding leads to futile desires, which in turn leads to wrong actions. As a result, Kama Esha Krodha Esha Rajoguna Samudbhavaha Mahashno Mahapapma Vidyenamiha Vairinam. This is the 37th verse of the 3rd chapter, where Krishna elaborates that wrong desires will only nourish more desires, which will lead to greed, leading to kamya karmas. Rakshasim Asurim Chaiva Prakriti Mohinim Shritaha. Rakshasim, their actions are born out of Kama Pradhana or attachment. Raga Pradhana, that is attachment, Kama Pradhana or attachment, Raga Pradhana. Asurim, their actions are born out of hatred. Here, Vesha Pradhana. Rakshasi Prakriti will make a person greedy, selfish, and immoral. Asurim Chaiva, from selfish activities, I take to harmful activities. Rakshasi, Asurim Chaiva, Prakritim. Prakritim means Swabhavaha. Rajas Pradhana or Tamas Pradhana. Ashritaha, they take to Mohinim, that is delusion. Because of indiscrimination, Kamya Nishiddha karmas increase, Buddhi gets spoiled, turning more harmful, making one incorrigible. Buddhinashat pranashyati. Thus, this verse speaks about the misguided people, but in the next verse, he speaks of the fortunate ones, who are born in proper atmosphere because of their Purva Janma Punyam, where the elders have value for the scriptures, value for Nitya Nainittika Karma, like prayer, bhajan, etc. The 13th verse, Mahatmanastu Mam Partha Daivim Prakritim Ashritaha Bhajantya Ananya Manaso Jnatva Bhutadim Avyayam. Mahatmanaha means Punyavantaha, Sattva Pradhana people. Daivim Prakritim Ashritaha. They take to sattvic nature, a religiously alert life, like Pariksha Lokan, Karma Chitan, here takes place. These people develop Nitya Anitya Vastu Vivekaha. These people are Mahatmanaha. Their karmas are more for purifying the mind. Mam Nyatva, they know me, take refuge in me. Bhutadim means Jagat Karanam, taking shelter in the beginningless Lord. Anadi, Avyayam, who is infinite, beginningless, and endless. There is no, it is perennial. Bhajanti means they start seeking, their journey begins. Ananya Manasaha, without any distraction. This is called as Avyabhicharini Bhakti. And their ways of pursuing Lord is given in the next verse. The 14th verse, Satatam Kirtayanto Mam Yatantascha Drada Vrataha Namasyantascha Mam Bhaktya Nityayukta Upasate. Dradavrataha, they are the people of firm resolve to attain Ishvara or Moksha. Tivra Mumukshutvam, taking a firm resolve, is not all that easy. That's the reason why we have various vratam to remind us of the purpose of a birth. Satatam Kirtayantaha, constantly chant my name and glory. Yatantaha, putting forth appropriate effort. People trying to acquire sadhana chatushtaya sampatti or to get prepared for attaining jnanam, which is easy if we are qualified. Bhaktya Mam, single-minded devotion towards the Lord. Namasyantaha indicates the role of grace. Prayatna and Ishvara Anugraha, both are very important for this spiritual progress. Nitya Yuktaha, ever steadfast, total commitment to get liberated, total focus on moksha at all levels, be it Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya, Upasate, they seek. Next verse, Jnana Yajnena Chapanye Yajanto Mam Upasate. Ekatvena Pratyaktvena Bahuda Vishwato Mukham. This verse reflects the gradual growth of the individual in terms of understanding of God in its three stages, starting with Eka Rupa to Aneka Rupa to Arupa, invariably with the underlying tone of bhakti. So Lord Krishna says, Anye Ekatvena Mam Upasate. Here, Eka means Arupa Ishvara. Eka means Arupa Ishvara, as some people worship the non-dual Brahman. Some people seek through Jnana Yajnena by taking to Jnana Yoga, Vedanta Vichara, and they seek Arupa Ishvara. Some people feel that they are not ready for that. Therefore, they worship Aneka Rupa Ishvara. Vishwa Mukhatvena, Lord with multifarious form, Lord everywhere, Vishwarupa Ishvara. But there are some who feel that this too is difficult to follow. So they choose a Lord with a precise form, Prathattvena, in a distinct form, Ekarupa worship. Thus, our journey is from Ekarupa to Anekarupa to Arupa. The formless principle, which is the culmination. In Ekarupa, one is a Dvaitin. When one evolves to the next level to Aneka Rupa, excuse me, one becomes a Vishishta Dvaitin. Then when we go to arupam, the part and the whole gets dissolved into one indivisible totality, then one has reached Advaita. Next verse, aham kraturaham yajnaha swadhamaham aushadam mantroham ahameva ahameva ajyamaham agni aham hutam. This verse leads us to the heights of spirituality, meaning I am the ritual prescribed by the Shruti, I am the ritual prescribed by the Smriti, I am the food offered to the ancestors, I am the food of all the living beings, I am mantra, I am the fire, I am the ghee, and I am the action of offering. Lord Krishna elaborates Vishwarupa Bhakti in verses 16 to 19, taking us all as the Madhyama Bhaktas. We have Vishwarupa Ishvara Varnanam. He says, Aham Kritaha means the rituals which were dominant in those days are to be looked upon as God. Ritual itself is I am. Here, we do not say God is worshipped through the rituals. Krutuhu, meaning God himself is the ritual. Aham yajnaha. Yajnaha means rituals and prayers prescribed by the secondary non-Vedic scriptures as they borrow it from the Vedas. Then swada aham. Swadha here is the offering given to the forefathers or ancestors. When oblations are given to the devatas, it is called swaha. Aham aushadham means food eaten by human beings as it is derived from oshadi, a plant product. So medicines are also called aushadham as Ayurveda is based on plants or herbs. So annam is Brahma, nutrition is Vishnu as he is the nourisher, and digestive juice that destroy the food which gets converted into various nutrients is the Lord Shiva. Thus everything is divine. Mantram aham, meaning where the food is offered to the devatas or to the ancestors or to oneself. All these go with mantram. That mantra is also I am. Aham eva ajyam. Here, the clarified butter, which is offered in rituals, that also I am. Aham agnihi. I am the very fire into which the offering is done. Agni is a devata or messenger to the respective devata whom we want to offer. Not only the messenger God I am, whatever is carried by Lord, that material also I am. Therefore, aham hutam, meaning the action of offering is also I am. Next verse. Pitaham asya jagato mata dhata pitamahaha vedyam pavitram omkara rikshama yajur evacha. Riksama yajur evacha. The idea of Vishwarupa Ishvara continues here. Aham asya jagataha pita. I am the father, the parent of this creation. The creation has originated from me alone. I am both the father and mother, meaning I am the nimitta karanam, the intelligent cause behind the creation. I am the very material cause of the creation, abhinna nimitta upadhana karanam too. Pitamahaha api aham eva. I am the causeless cause of the creation. Actually, pitamahaha here means grandfather. That's why the meaning, I am the causeless cause of the creation. Dhata, I am the distributor of everything according to the karma phalam at the right time, at the right place, to the right person. There is absolutely no injustice in the creation. Vedyam, I am the ultimate thing to be known, knowing which alone our intellectual quest will end. Pavitram means the greatest purifier. Lord is the greatest purifier. Omkaraha, I am the essence of all the Vedas. I am the Omkaraha, I am the very Veda itself. I am the Rig Veda, Samaveda, and I am the Yajurveda of Vishwarupa Ish. Thus, the idea of Vishwarupa Ishvara is affirmed by proclaiming that the culmination of bhakti is nothing but the Lord in his formless nature is none other than myself. Next verse. Gatir Bharta Prabhum Sakshi Nivasaha Sharanam Surat Prabhavaha Pralayah Sthanam Nidhanam Bijamavyayam. Lord Krishna gives a list of things here in this verse to point out that all these things are myself or Ishvara only. So Gatihi, meaning a destination, a goal kept in mind by every person. Paramarthananda further clarifies this by saying every karma is done for a particular phalam. And Lord Krishna says, every karma phalam I am, including both success and failure. Bharat Bhartaha, meaning a sustainer. In this context, it means karma phala dhata. So I am the karma phalam as well as the karma phala dhata. Prabhuhu means one who is the master. Lord is both omniscience and omnipotent. Sakshi, Lord delivers everything by being a mere witness from the standpoint of Maya Shakti. Nivasaha, I am the abode of everything. Vishwadhara. Sharanam means shelter. When everything is forsaken in life, Lord is the only ultimate refuge. Sharanam, by definition, means that in whose presence we are free from our problems. Surat means a well-wisher without expecting any return. Prabhavaha, pralayat sthanam. Prabhavaha means srishti karanam. Sthanam means sthiti karanam. Pralayaha means laya karanam. So I am the substratum from whom the creation arises, rests and resolves. Nidhanam, I am the storehouse, the repository of everything in the creation. Avyayam Bijam, I am the inexhaustible seed of this universe, out of which infinite things appear. So I am everything. Next verse. Tapamyaham aham varsham nigranam yesrujamicha amritam chaiva mrityuscha sada satchaham Arjuna. In this verse, Lord Krishna refers to things recognized by all the people. Aham tapami, Surya Rupena, Suryaha Pratyaksha Daivam, the manifestation of Lord Ishvara. The very earth is energized in the form of sun, the inexhaustible energy. Surya Bhagavan evaporates, Vayu Bhagavan transports, and then at the right time and place, it gets evaporated and condensed into rain, the purest form of water. Aham Varsha Nigranami. Nigranami means absorb. Usrujami means release. I take it out of the land with the help of sun and wind. Amrita Chaiva Mrityuscha. This phrase has two meanings. One is empirical and the other is philosophical. Empirical meaning is through the rains, I am the producer of food, the cause of survival of the people from Maranam. So I am the cause of Amritam. This is the empirical meaning. The philosophical meaning is I am the cause of both mortality and immortality. In this context, mortality means jnanam, and in the form of jnanam, I give immortality to the seekers. When one is not blessed by jnanam, then he or she suffers from ajnanam or samsara. Sat, asat, aham eva. Even though sat and asat has deeper meaning, here in this context, sat means manifest creation and asat means the unmanifest creation. The visible creation or the vyakta prapancha like the physical body. Asat means avyakta prapancha, the subtle body, and the causal body. So both concrete and abstract creation, I am. Thus, Lord Krishna, by bringing in the reference of the confused, misguided people in the 12th verse, he continues saying only fortunate ones will come to Karma Lakshana Bhakti, gradually advancing to Upasana Lakshana Bhakti, taking the world as Vishwarupa Ishvara. And this knowledge alone help him progress further to Jnanam, which is the topic dealt with in these 7 verses, which is a step towards liberation. Thank you. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Thank you, madam, for a wonderful description of the seed of Vishwarupa Varnana. In the Madhyama Shatakam, starting from 7th chapter onwards, we are concentrating on Ishvara Swarupa. Krishna takes us through the Ishvara Swarupa. And here in these particular verses, we saw the introduction to Vishwarupa Varnana. Gradually, Sri Krishna will take us through the depths. He increases the topic and he comes to the culmination in the 11th chapter, which is the climax, the Vishwarupa Darshanam. These are like the preview, the Munnota, which will lead us to that climax of Vishwarupa Darshanam. So we saw Ekarupa, Vishwarupa, and Arupa Ishvara, and the pathways which will take us there, and the various forms of bhakti. And the later verses, which Madam just explained, was about, which I was reminded of the earlier verse which we saw in 4th chapter, that is Brahmarpanam Brahmahavihi Brahmagno Brahmanahutam Brahmaiva Tena Gantavyam Brahmakarma Samadhina. Like that, whatever we see around us, those days when rituals are so frequent and were revered, he took examples of the ritual in which the materials used, the person who is doing, everything is a form of Vishwarupa Ishvara. Like if it were to be today, we can take examples of our traffic, like the car in here sitting, the driver, the petrol, the fuel, the traffic light, the traffic police, everything is a form of Vishwarupa. Okay, everything what is happening around us, we have to take it that way, that everything around us, what we see, what we perceive, everything is just a manifestation of Vishwarupa Ishvara. Upanishad is very, very clear that we can get attached to the finite form of the Lord for worship. But when we take it as our destination of life, it has to be the infinite, the Arupa Ishvara. So in Kenopanishad, we see Tadeva Brahmatvam Vidhi Nedam Yadidam Upasate. The worshipped, formed, finite God should be used as an intermediary step. The destination God is invariably the formless one alone. So that's why Sri Krishna says, earlier part of this chapter, Maya tatamidam sarvam jagad avyakta murtina, avyakta murti. That is the formless, colorless, smellless, tasteless, touchless. That's avyaktam. Therefore, that's the destination God is avyaktam. So this is the viveka, and it takes a while. It takes an effort to get this viveka, the discrimination between eternal and ephemeral. What is that discrimination? To know that Brahman alone is the Nitya Vastu, the eternal factor. Everything else is impermanent. Fame, position, possession, all of these material pursuits, including you can take philanthropy, money, relation, which is bound within the boundaries of time and space. The whole universe, in fact, is ephemeral, anitya. The eternal reality, our goal, is nitya, the permanent, Brahman, Atvam, Atma, Artatvam. It's the God which we see as destination. We have to be very clear to discriminate between the term viveka and intellect. Intellect is not the same as this discrimination. Intellect, in fact, in many ways, is a hindrance to get to this viveka. If we cut off this possibility of this infinite nature of God, then we are bound to, as I said earlier, try to put that blanket which is finite to cover ourselves in vain. That's what happens. The futility which was explained in the earlier part of the 12th verse in particular. like how the scientists try to find that elusive God particle, trying to find the relationship between something which is avyakta, which can't be identified, which cannot be described, and to try an explanation using our own senses and what is perceivable through our senses. That's the realm of intellect. What is missing there is the discrimination, that possibility and that goal of Nitya, the permanent, the Brahman. And how do we go there? Is the Tattvabodha takes us through the four ways, the four Ds, what we see. That is, one is through Yukti, Shruti, and Anubhuti. That's our everyday experience. Madam said about Pariksha Lokan, Karmachitan. Once we have that shrewd intellect to see, to discriminate, every experience in our life will be leading us, will be showcasing the glory of the Lord. Okay, that is Anubhuti. And the reasoning, the logic, that's Yukti. Nothing is left, it's pure science actually. And with the background of the manual of our life, what we have, which is bestowed on us, that is Shruti, scriptures. So, discrimination, dispassion. Dispassion from Anitya, whatever is impermanent, you'll have to dispassionately throw it away and move towards that mumukshutvam, that desire to get into, like a magnet, to get into, attracted into the Nitya, the permanent, that infinite Lord. Okay? So these are the stepping stones which will lead us to keep Lord in its infinite form as our goal. So with that, we come to the end of today's topic on Bhakti and verses 12 to 19 of chapter 9. Now we'll go to the important part, the most exciting part of the program, the quiz, DISHA quiz number 41, which is prepared by Dr. Ravi Shankar and Dr. Divakar. Dr. Ravi Shankar will be taking us forward through the quiz. Over to Dr. Ravi Shankar, sir.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. To reinforce and recapitulate what we have learned in this beautiful session of DISHA, let us go through some questions and answers in the form of a quiz. In this verse, the 12th verse, what does the word Vichetasaha mean? Discerning people or Jnani, those anchored in Chetana Tattva Jnana Nishtha, indiscriminate people or aviveki, or those who teach Jnana Vichara, which are the qualified gurus.
Is it indiscriminate people, aviveki, sir?
Yes, you are right. So it is the aviveki, vichetasaha. These people, they don't know what is the problem. They do not want to take help from the scriptures. They have a wrong understanding, and the expectations of the purpose of life itself is not known. In short, they seek to have some sort of a permanent peace, security, happiness from impermanence, and they are the Moganaksha. So this is the word aviveki or vichetasa. We move to the next one. What is the sequence for the right human pursuits? Is it Kriya Shakti, Ichha Shakti, and Jnana Shakti? Or Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Jnana Shakti? Or Jnana Shakti, Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti? Or Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti?
First, it should be knowledge, then the will, and then the action. That is Jnana Shakti, Ichha Shakti, then Kriya Shakti.
Very rightly brought out even in this example that Dr. Komal gave. Only when you know that there is cold foot in that beautiful example, then there is a desire to have the blanket cover us, and then you cover the blanket. What a beautiful example it was. So knowing about the goal, desiring for the goal, and acting to accomplish the goal, everything begins at the cognitive level. Improper knowledge, you have the wrong goals. And the proper desires come only when you have proper knowledge. And that proper knowledge gives rise to proper actions. So your answer is correct. The next question. Based on this previous question, the same verse 12, what is the correct sequence which leads a Vichetasaha to continue in samsara? Mogha Jnana, Moghashaha, Mogha Karmana, Mogashaha, Mogha Karmana, Mogha Jnana, Mohasaha, Mogha Jnana, Mogha Karmana, Mogha Jnana, Mogha Karmana, Moghashaha.
On the same lines of the previous question, I think it should be Mogha Jnana, Mogasha, and Mogha Karmana.
So faulty knowledge, which is avidya, ignorance, gives rise to misplaced kama or desires. And then there are actions which are futile. And this is kama krodha pradhana. And that's why they continue to be in samsara. So this vichetasaha will have to take this kama and asuri nature. That is the problem that they have, and that's why they continue in samsara. The next question. In the 13th verse, Sri Krishna talks about people with Daivi Sampat, which is the Satvika Pradhana. By what name does he call them in this verse? The clue is it is opposite of Vichetas.
The shloka begins with Mahatmanastu Mam Partha. It must be Mahatmanaha.
Mahatmanaha. That's right. What does it mean? One who is cultured, one who has got a clear viveka, a discrimination of what is eternal and ephemeral, and one who has a clear goal in his life, and his spiritual goal is very clear, and so he has a sattvic personality. You're right, the answer is Mahatmana. In the next question, in the same verse, Mahatmanastu Mam Partha, what does the word Bhutadim mean? Is it sentience in all living beings, Bhutani? Is it Panchabhutani? Is it the causeless cause, or that which has no end?
The last word of the shloka, Bhutadim Avyayam. That means that which has no end, I think.
So Bhutadim here particularly means the Jagat Karanam, the causeless cause. Those who have the Daivi Sampat, they start seeking, they pray without any distractions, Ananya Manasaha, on this Bhutadim, which is Avyayam. Such a Bhakta is known as Avyabhicharini Bhakta. And the meaning of this word Bhutadim Avyayam, Bhutadim here means the causeless cause or the Jagat Karana. We move to the next question. Abhyacharini Bhakta will keep moksha as the primary goal to attain this one, which has two important things: the effort with free will and grace. This comes in the 14th verse. Satatam kriyatanto, in that verse. So what is the answer? Satatam kriyatantaha, dhridavrita bhaktaha, yatantaha namasyantaha, nityayukta upasake.
It is Yatantascha Namasyantascha. I think it is three. Yatantaha Namasyantaha.
That's right. So when we have free will, like the engine in the front of a train, trying to pull the engine, you are likely to get arrogance. But as soon as there is namasyantaha, remembering that there is also grace, there is no arrogance, and you know that's the grace or anugraha of the Lord or Ishvara. And this combination of yatantaha, namasyantaha is very important. In the next verse, in the next question, we have this spiritual seeker who passes through three different stages of bhakti depending on his understanding of the God. Match the following words in this verse to the stages of bhakti. Ekatvena Vishwarupa Ishvara, Vishwato Mukham, Ekarupa Ishvara, Prithakvena Arupa Ishvara.
Ekatvena is seeing God everywhere. There is Arupa Ishvara, formless one Brahman. Vishvato Mukham is Vishvarupa Ishvara, God as universe. Prithakvena is Ekarupa Ishvara, Rama, Shiva, etc. I think that's the...
Very well said. So Prithakvena is Ekarupa Ishvara, Vishvato Mukham is Vishwarupa Ishvara, and Ekatvena is Arupa Ishvara. In the next question, Aham Kraturaham. In this verse, Krishna elaborates which of the following. Is it Ekarupa Ishvara, Anekarupa Ishvara, Arupa Ishvara, or the process of Yajna Karma Yoga?
I think Krishna is explaining the different rupas of Brahman, his own rupa. It must be Aneka Rupa Ishvara.
You're right. So this is the same kind of a verse which Dr. Komal also highlighted in the last, like the 24th verse of chapter 4. It's Aneka Rupa Ishvara, and such upasakas are the Madhyama Adhikaris. The next question. Pita mihasya jagato mata Vedyam pavitram onkara. What is this Vedyam in this verse? What is the meaning of Vedyam? Is it the Vedas? The offerings made in the form of Naivedya, which is the Yajna? Is it the Jagat Karanam, ultimate creator, or the ultimate thing to be known?
Vedyam means to know, that the ultimate thing to be known is the Vedyam. That is what the most paramount thing that we have to know.
Yes, the only thing that need be known in life ever is Vedyam. And this is the self. And this has been highlighted in the 13th chapter as Gneyam. And in the Mandukya Upanishad, which deals with the Omkara, it has been explained as Vijnanam. Gneyam. In the next question, Gatir Bartha Prabhu Sakshi. What is Gatir Bartha in this verse? Does it mean the creator of the universe, Jagat Adhishthanam, the Karma Phaladata, or the one who is the potential imperishable form?
Gatihi Bharta. Gati is the direction, Bharta is the controller. It is Karma Phaladata, sir.
So well said. This compound word is Gatihi plus Bharta. Gatihi here means Karma Phala, and Bharta specifically means the Data or the sustainer. So he's the Karma Phala Data. Next question. Pick the false statement. Bhakti is towards a higher principle, towards God, towards people in high posts, and towards our country.
Higher principle, God and country are all acceptable, and it's the right thing to be there. And towards people in high posts, that's the false one, I think.
You're right. I think that's quite right. In the next question, which is true or false? Work is the means when house is your goal. Study is the means when exams are your goal. Fitness is the means when health is your goal. God is the means and world is your goal. World is the means and God is the goal.
Sir, I think the D which represents Manda Bhakti, God is the means and world is the goal.
You're right. So that is the one which is not right. All else is true. The next question. Whom do you love the most? Is it the spouse, the neighbor, God, or self?
Myself, sir, myself.
It's only when you know that you love yourself, you will start understanding what is self. So answer is self. Next question. Particularly talking about love with Vedanta as a background. And now, what is the meaning of love in general as far as Vedanta is concerned? Means love is called, end love is called, self love is called. Can you fill in the blanks, please?
Means love is called the Manda Bhakti or Manda. End love is the Madhyama, and the self love is the Uttama.
So the one who has the means love for the sake of oneself is Manda, and the one who has the love for oneself or the Nirguna Brahma is the Uttama Bhakta. The next question. Fill in the blanks again. God only as the means is called, God as the end is called, and God love being equal to self-love is called.
Again, the same answer, sir. Manda Bhakti, Madhyama Bhakti, and Uttama Bhakti.
It's so clear and so nicely explained. The next question. Could you tell what are the 3 stages of understanding of God?
Is it Ekarupa, Anekarupa, and Arupa, sir?
You're right. So, Ekarupa is the first stage of understanding, which Jagat Shrishtikarta Ishvara. Anekarupa is the second stage of understanding, where we know that Jagat Karanam is Ishvara. And once we understand Arupa, that is the understanding that Jagat Ishvara, that Ishvara is the Jagat Adhisthana. The next. So to summarize, which has already been brought out so well in the talk by Srimati Vidya, the classification of bhakti based on bhavana would be 3: Manda Bhakti, Madhyama Bhakti, and Uttama Bhakti. Based on sadhana would be 3: Karma Yoga Rupa Bhakti, Upasana Yoga Rupa Bhakti, and Jnana Yoga Rupa Bhakti. And the last is by the basis on the understanding of God. It could be Ekarupa, Anekarupa, or Arupa Bhakti. Shri Gurubhyo Namah.
Thank you, Dr. Ravishankar, sir, for a wonderful quiz, and Srimati Vidya for an absorbing session. Thank you, Dr. Komal, sir, for your insightful introduction and discussion on the topic. Thank you, Lakshmi ma'am, for a beautiful shloka time. And thank you, friends, for your participation and valuable feedback. We will log in for our verse by verse session 129 on 6th January to continue our study of chapter 17. Please log in at 6:45 p.m. sharp Friday. Before concluding, I wish to thank all those who have sent in their Guru Dakshina. May I request them to kindly fill the Google form to enable us to generate the receipts. Thank you. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.